Hello, this is a Jayman Show on WBCA 102.9 FM, Boston's local community radio station. My guest today is Darrell Jones, a producer and a podcaster and a host of his own radio show. And my name is Jaiye Bynoe, the J-Man. Okay, hey Darrell, good to see you on the show. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
How you doing, man? You know, everybody pronounces it Darrell. That's what the prison would say. So that's the first thing that we would settle up. You know, all the years I was gone, they would call me the name they wanted to call me. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, fam.
Okay. So my question to you is, can you tell me about your story, how you got, if you don't mind talking about how you got sent to prison, what it was like for you, how that experience changed you, and because I think it's sad being locked away for so many years for something that you didn't do. You know, so can you still tell me, how that affected you, what it did to get through that? Did it get through that?
Well, one of the things I try to tell people is that it's a very difficult case, right? Mm-hmm. And difficult in terms of all the activities, things they did to set me up, basically. Mm-hmm. And so I tell people that it's probably best for them to get the story to Google. You know, if you put in Darrell Jones, Darrell Jones, and the word innocent man, the story just pop up, and it'll go so many ways. It's out there. But I was 18 years old in the town of Brockton, Mass. And at that time, I was out there because we were doing little shows at the Rosalind Ballroom in Taunton and all that out there. And I had just, got that little musical takeoff, so to speak. The Mantronics actually were in town, and I was signing something for them right there at a show I was doing. But so I got familiar with the town. The town got a little familiar with me, and what they call your name's popping. I was only 18, and at that time there was a shooting outside of a bar that I was in because they didn't have no age thing. It was like a little bar, everybody go in there, hang out, and a shooting had happened outside. I literally didn't even know. Not only did I not know the shooting happened, but I had never seen this person they were saying that was in the bar. And they were saying that someone walked him out of the bar. And I remember there's a group of people inside of the bar, and that someone walked him out of the bar at gunpoint. And they walked him right across the street and just shot him one time and ran. The whole story didn't make sense to me. I mean, there was a killing. This man was killed, but it didn't make sense to me because one, I'm going, not only did he not know me, but he was a Cuban guy and he didn't speak no English. He only could say 1, 2, 3 or whatever. So his lawyer confirmed that. So if he couldn't speak any English, we ain't gonna have no dialogue in that bar. And clear thing that would happen with me coming from where I'm coming from and where he coming from, if we were in that bar and got into an argument with someone that didn't speak English, we're gonna be the loudest thing in that bar. I'm not gonna know what he's saying. He's not gonna know what I'm saying. And then the other thing I thought about it was all the people there were like, they didn't really know me, but they all knew him. They bought cocaine from him, and he's supposed to be a big dealer, and they bought cocaine. They all knew him. They all was his friends. Not too many people, I don't think, in this world exist that's going to let you walk them away from people at gunpoint in the middle of a bar. When that's when they would resist, right? They would resist then, especially if they know the people and you don't know them. And, during that crack era and all this stuff, you can be sure that he was the man with the cocaine. That whole bar would have probably been at me if that was the case. So none of that occurred. Someone, I believe, just shot that man outside for some reason because it was a difficult case. And knowing, for me, being in prison, knowing that it didn't even fit the stigma of what they were trying to say, us Boston dudes or ghetto, whatever you want to call it at that time, would do. This man has his wallet on him. This man has his car. I don't know if he has drugs or not, you know what I mean? But he has his car. He has all his stuff, and he's got lots of jewelry, right? And he's known for lots of jewelry. Where I'm from, nobody comes up and just shoots somebody and leaves them with their wallets, with their jewelry, with their car right there, take nothing from them unless that's some kind of hit. You understand that? Yes. Nobody from the ghetto, as you know, bro, is walking up on nobody who's got a bunch of gold. If they don't know them personally, got some beef, and it's some kind of hit, whatever they got to do, and just shoot them and leave it. So that was common sense. Like, nothing's taken. I'm not robbing them. There's nothing going on. I'm just going to shoot a guy for no reason and walk him out of a bar and what did he do to me to even have me have such a thought? You know what I mean? And they eventually end up, I think 2 weeks later or whatever it was, they were saying my name. I went to really turn myself in right to the same place. And they came and arrested me. In short, they did a lot of things to cause the conviction, right? All of the witnesses, no one got up there and said, that's him. You know what I mean? The most they had was somebody that said he looked the most like the guy, I think. No one, everyone. And then that's how I got out. All those witnesses were recanting, you know, like, no, I never told you it was him. They said that. But they took a prostitute by the name of Terry Lynn Starks, and they made a videotape. She's the only one. They said they showed other people the pictures, but she was the only one. And they videotaped hers. And in the middle of that video, you'll see all that if you go Google, you know, my name, Darrell Jones, Innocent Man. In the middle of that tape, when they played it at my trial, her identification was basically missing because a TV show came on in the middle. You know what I mean? And they were making up these reasons why I was on there. This cop said that he went to press play. He was supposed to be with the lawyer I had. Now, this is what makes the case so complicated. That's why I tell people to look it up, because it would take a long time, right? Come to find out, the lawyer that I had actually had been representing the Brockton police since '67. There was the conflict of interest. They gave me a lawyer, right? And it's a public defender at that time, public pretender. They gave me a lawyer who actually is representing all the police over there and during their divorces. So that's their buddy. Well, anyway, he says that the DA says that him and my lawyer were together, and they were watching the video, just re-watching the video of her allegedly saying it's me. And they're using a video on her to be able to say, short guy, tall guy. They're using the video. And that part is gone, you know, a middle of it is gone. And their excuse was that them two were supposed to be, he said, the DA, that they were sitting down together watching it. And he went to press play and accidentally pressed record, and that's how the TV show got on there. You know, what do you think's wrong with that picture? I was 18 years old the moment I heard it, the moment I heard the excuse, and I said, that's wrong. What do you think is wrong with that picture? Well, I'll help you out with it, make it real simple. If I'm watching something like you and I are watching each other, I don't need to press play, right? What would I be pressing play for?
Exactly. So I'm doing recording. Yeah, I got you.
You got to say that's why in the middle of it, we have the recording. And the judge allowed all that. And that's what they use. So to make the jury just believe this is exactly what's going on. It wasn't until 28 years later, you know, I end up doing 32 solid in the joint and 3 years out here dealing with them, total 35 years of my life wasted messing with these people. And it was just real peculiar to me, the other chain of events tied to it. Prior to my case, right when this was happening to me, this guy that got killed here, he it's crazy, man, because he had got arrested by the same cop that's putting this murder on me. And he was a week from going to his own trial on a drug case. And the record is kind of like, he was basically getting ready to let them know it's the police. Then come to find out, I'm in jail. The chief of police, Richard Sprouse at that time, who's supposed to be in charge of this investigation, the feds are investigating him, and he winds up copping out to stealing cocaine and using it for 5 years. They never put none of their evidence, drugs, in the evidence room.
Oh, wow.
They were just taking it home. Then all of a sudden, the judge says to them, the feds say to them, basically, we're gonna need those drugs that y'all been taking home for this investigation. And you think one of them just got cocaine sitting at their house since 67, 69, 70, 80? They don't got no cocaine. They did something with that, sold that, used that, whatever they done. So where they gonna get the cocaine from? From him. You see what I'm saying? Something, you know, you're dealing with a cocaine dealer. This guy come up dead. Chief winds up going to jail. You know, he's saying he was using for 5 years, which is right during the time when they put this on me. Then if you go to YouTube and look at Richard Sprouse talking about me, the guy was the one that was in charge of the investigation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was the head detective, and this chief of detectives, this guy is on YouTube. I'm in jail. He wound up getting 10 years. He wound up doing, I don't know how much of it, but he wound up getting 10 years. So he's in jail while I'm in jail. Still, they don't know. They're still hiding me as a secret, not trying to let me get no air to get out of there. They know what they've done. But on the video, he goes, I know all the bad guys. I knew all the names out here. This guy doesn't ring a bell. He's talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, there's no fingerprints. Where's the smoking gun? You're talking about me, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one asking these questions, and you guys done took my whole life, you know what I mean? So there was just a whole order of things that occurred that would be hard to summarize how they happened, because it's still an investigation in my own life of what happened to this man. Because see, no one's investigating it now. Isn't it ironic that most of us get out and we celebrate the idea, a little bit of media, whatever they'll do, we'll celebrate the idea that a person's home, but we don't seem to want to follow up and say, well, who did do it?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, if you done took 35 years of my life invested in this for nothing, why ain't we looking for that?
Exactly. We should be.
You ain't still trying to solve nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all of this is a telltale sign of its own. So it's real difficult, like I said, to box it in like this would happen. I mean, here it is. I sat in the prisoner's dock my whole trial, meaning like a car and a half length away from the lawyer that represented me, who waited till the third day of trial to even notify, oh, I forgot, I represent most of the police that are going to testify.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that till the third day of my trial, and you've been representing them since 1967.
Oh, gosh.
And he only said that because one of the court officers said it to him, like, shouldn't you tell them? It's all black and white.
Yes.
But the idea is that people assume sorrow or we're sorry that happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's more helpful than the idea of, hey, we'll start saying something which we'll speak out with you. You know what I mean? About what's happening. When I said, I have a movement I tried to get going here called Not in My Name.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm explaining to the public is, I don't want no more out of you than you to say not in my name, to just put that anywhere you can. Hashtag not in my name, right? Because the government uses your name, they use you. You know what I mean? Whoever is my age and younger and their mothers, and they used you to put me in prison, to say that you validate that, right? So every wrongful man and woman you see coming out, once we able to get ourselves out, they're saying, in Jay's name, we did this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's Commonwealth versus Darrell Jones. The Commonwealth is you. The Commonwealth is all the people. Mm-hmm. And so the DA don't get up and say, yeah, in behalf of me and Clay, you know what I mean? Or whatever the name may be. They get up and say, Your Honor, on behalf of the Commonwealth. So they sold the Commonwealth a lie. It wasn't me. Mm-hmm. And the Commonwealth has allowed them, when you say they have money for schools or programs, to hold me in prison for $45,000 a year and up a year. They're paying for the wrong man to be in prison. So if we add that up to, 32 years solid, right? How much dough is that? Where's that money at?
Exactly.
They done spent the taxpayers' money and without no refund. You can't just get anything. If I order from Amazon, there's going to have to be some kind of delivery. Yes. Right? Mm-hmm. They're saying we can just charge you and not deliver. So we can just take the taxpayers' money and finagle it around. If I'm not the guy, then that's millions of dollars in taxpayers' money. So where's their money at?
Exactly.
And I'm asking them to get their money. I'm saying, hey, listen, let's go for it all, but say not in my name. Because if we take that power away from DAs, they'll start having to let you be part of the process. They won't be able to just jump up there and say, hey, we're doing this in Jay's name, and Jay's mother's name, and Jay's grandmother's name. We're doing this in the name. You'll be able to say, not in my name, not unless I know something about it. Yeah. You wouldn't let nobody just be taking your credit card doing that.
No. Oh.
So I thought that was important for me to say. You know what I mean? Excuse me 1 second.
Okay, take your time,
Very important for me to say.
Well, I'm glad you spoke your mind, brother. Yes, that's something we need to hear, you know. And
Pardon me. But, you know, the case itself, like I said, boxing in is going to be difficult because there's so many issues. But the experience, a little bit of that I could share.
okay.
I try to share it in an advisory role, man, meaning that I don't want to sit on my hardship. That's not my goal. That's their goal. To have you sit on your hardship, to disrupt your life, to change you and incubate a different species of you to return to your community. I wasn't quite interested in doing that. So, you know, I educated myself in there, started a few programs in there, made videos for kids bullying and different things out here. Worked with the mothers out here like Ron Odoms and Kim Odoms, and did a video called What is Beautiful Never Dies. You know? So I was active in there, won a United Nations award in there actually, man, and a few other awards for a letter that I wrote to Obama called Obama Answer This, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I didn't play their gyms and weights and all that, their distractions. I educated myself, plus I stayed on the law and was able to do what I need to do to get home. You know what I mean? With the assistance of my attorneys being able to see what I'm saying, you know, and understood it. It was a hell of an experience, bro. You know what I mean? And I've shared it here and there a lot of times, man, but it was an unnecessary experience, meaning that you may assume, and I didn't want to just jump subjects, but you may assume, and I have to deliver this how it feels sometimes. I don't really have it categorized where I just say, let me pull this out. I naturally interview being me. But that hardship, it materialized something different for me. You know what I mean? It materialized something different for me because it provided me an opportunity to learn a lot about evil. You know, I was in the house of that. Everything that I don't think people understand that what they really did with me. What they did with me, if once you take in the fact, you know what I mean, that I'm not the guy and I was wrongfully convicted, just like the next man or woman that was wrongfully convicted. Once you really take that in without holding your own jury conference in your own mind, and then become a second jury without the facts. You know, a lot of people seem to do that. They glance a few things about us that was innocent. They see a few things, and then they get it mixed up with somebody that might have had a technicality.
Yeah.
And there are those. There are guys that overturn their cases on a technicality, right? And then there's factual innocence. You know what I mean? Exoneration meaning, nah, you ain't got nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? I'm exonerated. I don't got nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? We're not loopholding. Jury, we had to bring the jury back. You know, one of the jurors, she died when I got out, but she came forward and told them that, you know, the jurors were on there, three of the males, I believe, particularly, were on there, and they were deciding that I was guilty because I was Black.
Yeah.
Before they even heard anything, you know what I mean? It was an all-white jury, and back then it was an older crowd. It was a lot, but I say that to say the experience inside. I have to backpack with me that I just got convicted. You're dealing with the trauma of what just happened to you, not counting the year or whatever you've been waiting for a trial for something you didn't do. By the time I stepped into the prison, this is why I had to assess real quick which way I was going to go, because prison don't allow much time to decide who you're going to be. In fact, the idea is that you will be no one but a prisoner. So you have to kind of jump in real quick and, you know, get in your lane, so to speak. Like when America's running in one lane and China in another, you step on a lane, you out, you know what I mean? You out. So I was able to say, you know what, the lane that I got to be in, besides working on my case and trying to take care of my family and keep up on my children, because I realized, and I was going to say this earlier, I realized that although I suffered and sacrificed, there were many convictions along with mine on the same day in that courtroom. My children were convicted by not having their father in the home for no reason.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That was conviction upon them because that set the course to their lives. You know what I mean? One passed away now, and to the violence, right? May you rest in peace. One out there still working on it, you know what I mean? And they're older, but the mentality is stuck to what they grew under. You understand that? So those are victims. The idea that, say, my sister, or primarily the feeling of being able to have a brother and all of a sudden that's gone. You know what I mean? That's a big part. That's a big part of your family, like me having her. And then the idea that while I was gone, I lost my son, I lost my brother, I lost my grandmother and couldn't go to none of their funerals. Wow. You understand? So not only did I go through it in there, but I had to keep educating myself on what I was going through. And that's why I said earlier, man, it was evil, a tour through evil. Like God literally played that out. And when I look at it in that blessing, I don't look at it like other people. I don't look at it as though the conviction superseded what my destiny was supposed to be. You understand? So it didn't do that. But the experience did harm me like it did anyone else. When you guys are talking about mental health and so on, the experience indeed was harmful. That should be something that people out here should understand. The same way I was saying not in my name. It's simple to say that, but I didn't see a lot of people just grab it, you know what I mean? And say, hey, we're going to start saying that. But I'm saying either you stand behind what they do wrong or you don't. And it's the same way with this stuff we're watching with Trump and all these hearings. Either you stand behind something or you don't. And if you know that it's an innocent man or woman sitting in prison, because I'm more concerned about who's still there than where I am. And that's why I'm probably all over the place rather than trying to just go into my story. Because I always feel, Jay, like I'm free. They're not.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And when I was in prison, all I had was a bunch of people who could do the same. They could pay attention to a particular story, and you'd be sitting in prison knowing you're innocent, but you'd be watching a whole dramatic story and movie that they made about an innocent man. They talk about that movie cost them about, 50 million and more to make the movie. And I'm going, you want to make a movie about an innocent man, and it would have just been one good lawyer for most of us and some investigators. You could be putting that money towards helping somebody out of prison. Yeah,
I agree.
You understand?
I sure do. I definitely agree.
I look at it that way. And then, it's so ironic that they would even do such a thing. Man, I guess sometimes I just get amazed out here, bro. So I'm gonna let you go back in the question format, but I get amazed out here because I know during these interviews and things like that what people want. And what I'm trying to tell them is that I had a lifetime of wants.
Yes.
Right? But when you really fine tune it, you're going to start recognizing wants are going to be secondary to needs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Had we been in a Ukraine situation like right now, how many of us in a community you think got a bunch of canned goods in a hole somewhere? You dig what I'm saying? Or know how to hunt or go out here and skin a deer or whatever we got to do.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? We see the turmoil of where things are, right? So this is just another prison. That's what I was trying to get to when I talked about the prison. This right out here is a prison. You all don't see the wall. I'm gonna keep saying that. Too many things are happening out here. When COVID came, they couldn't go see their families, right? You couldn't go to funerals. It's the same type of system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The violence. It's the same system as prison. People seem so amazed by prison when they should be amazed by the circumstances that bring one to prison, and how that grew to become a prison out here where evil can just charm. You know what I mean? Where you can take a Trump and a whole bunch of them. It don't matter aside to me when you can take a bunch of them and say they can finesse a people so long to give up everything we got. That's what happened to me in reverse. I'm trying to put it in a bowl for you, saying the only way I could do that within an hour, of our interview is to let you know, if you take everything I was saying, no matter where you thought I went, and you put it in this bowl, you're gonna realize it overwhelms that bowl on alone, because by the time you start looking back at, oh, let me look up the cut tape. Oh, you're saying the police was stealing cocaine? Oh, we got to go over here. Oh, you won some awards in prison. Oh, you learned the law. Oh, you're categorizing a lot of my life when you do that.
Yeah.
I'm putting in the bowl to say all of that right there we could pull out, we can unpackage when we need to. Right now, I just want you to be able to look at what we could do to make sure this ain't happening to somebody else.
Yes, I agree.
So what happened to me is different than the experience of what I learned needed to be done. I learned from not being able to go to my family's funerals. I learned from not being able to, because I got to my dreams regardless, right? The best I could, meaning, you know, from magazines on, I did a lot of things. I accomplished a lot in there. It took a while. It took people out here to really get me into a mind state that, wow, I really did some things. You know what I mean? Like I pushed the envelope a lot, right? So I have to do that out here. I'm in work mode. I never got out of that. They attempted to, the Bible says, you know, you intended it for harm, but God meant it for good. Yes. They intended it for harm, and I assure you, there's harm. There's you know, atmospheres rather of sleep. You know what I mean? And different things I would hear or may think about, but they intended it for harm, but it's not going to work out that way. It hasn't worked out that way. You know what I mean? God meant it for good. So I'm just trying to channel that back, Jay, to people to wake them up. Like, you really got to listen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Instead of hiring people to act out our role, you know, he might do a decent job, but I don't know if he's going to be able to know what he's talking about. And he's on a stage acting out my life. You know, not at all. But go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you told me this. I'm glad you told me all that. No, because it makes you realize, you know, the things that people do for money, you know, and it's not right, you know. It's just, you know, I'm definitely with you, you know. I definitely want to help you, you know, and so it doesn't happen to anybody else, you know. And so my question to you is weren't you scared? I want you scared being in prison? Wasn't it hard for you? I mean, the guards. I mean,
of course. I mean, that's why I use the term starting off earlier. I figured no better way than to give you guys a straight up understanding when I said hell. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I say a lot of things that, you know, in a short amount of time, but they matter. And I identified it as hell because there is no other circumstance of trauma and fear that we would understand other than the one we stigmatize as hell.
Yes.
And, you know, when someone's got you where you can't go where you want to go, you know, to murders in the prison when I first go in, you know what I mean? They had one of the highest rate Walpole prison, right? You know what I mean? And riots and, you know, it's tippy toe, eggshell, ready on defense 24 hours a day, right? You know, and you can't even say the military is on defense 24 hours a day. I mean, they're ready. They're on alert center. If so, they get paid for that, and they're supposed to be doing that, right? You know what I mean? Over here, I didn't get paid for it, and I wasn't supposed to be doing it. So I shouldn't have had to been 24 hours, nor should anyone else that shouldn't be there, you know, constant awareness. That was the point of it being hell. I'm sure, you know, heaven doesn't sound like that to me, bro. You know what I mean? Heaven says something about, you know, paved roads, chilling out, laid back, picking fruit and playing with the animals. There's a lot to do. Yeah. Like a Disneyland. Hell just said something about fire and, you know what I mean? And burning and, you know, sound effects and all that. I'm using that point to be able to say, well, that's what they gave me over here, an imaginary world that, you know, it could ignite any hour of any day. Because people forget that what you call the worst of the worst, every serial killer, murderer, triple murderer, tax frauder, gang leader, whatever, you have to understand. That's the house of. Yeah. That's where society puts them. So until you can just recognize what happens to us and take that first thing, like I said, and say, wow, these are actually people with nothing to do with it. Absolutely, no, nothing at all. Right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And until you lock that in, you won't understand that you took a citizen and threw a citizen in the place that was the worst of the worst for you. The hell you created, meaning you created a space for them. Like, hey, this is, what else would you really call prison if it had to be another name, right? If we're throwing away, we think of the worst and the worst and the worst and all this other stuff, right? Then that's what they were doing to me as a citizen. Like, you're going to hell.
Oh, wow.
And so that's the experience I got. So when I'm around the sufferers, it's not just suffering about being in prison. It's the idea of suffrage, period. That's what I'm transcending to. I realized that the calling may be, and maybe that's primarily why I was able to do whatever I did in prison. And, we had community meetings, you know what I mean? Got the first one of those and bringing in all the leaders. And, shout out to Chuck Turner, may rest in peace, man. We worked together and coming in and sitting down and, Reverend Dickerson and Minister Randy Muhammad, you know what I mean? The community, man, bringing them in, sitting down, and we really doing what we got to do. It was a place that needed to be changed, right?
Yes.
By its nature, like to create the program and all that. And I'm saying that to say out here, that's the thing I probably feel like I went through it for, in order to best offer how someone else can get over suffering, period. Because that's all I know.
Yes.
You understand that? But I blueprinted the roadmap to how to deal with it. So, people say, wow, you're not upset or, you're not angry. And I'm going, no, I've found the roadmap, years and years and years of that. You think in there I wasn't angry, then you go through the angry process. In there, you didn't think, forget it, I ain't gonna even think about it. You go through that process. By the time you go through those two processes and then you go through the next one, which is basically reality, you suffering even more. So you might as well start the reality from the beginning, right? And work my way through it. I started reality from the beginning. I knew where I was. I worked my way through it. And now I'm saying, I got to provide that back out here. You know what I mean? Like, how do you get past that point of life ain't worth it at all? You know what I mean? Well, that was a pit stop in the place I was. That was like gas stations. You know what I mean? They had that available all the time. That was one of the number one options. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you want to check out? You know what I mean? You want to die? You want to kill yourself? That's always the option in hell.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell people I want to confer with them on what I did. And it makes sense for them to circumvent them going down those lonely roads, man. That's probably the best you'll get out of me today. I do my music, I do all the stuff I do, and definitely to the cause of getting everybody to be aware that brothers and sisters are still there. You know what I mean? And I do the radio show now that, bump that. Yeah, Bump That Radio. You know what I mean? We do the Bump That Radio. You can .com, get the app, get it on your phone, right?
Yeah.
I'm the bad boy of Good Talk, aka the strategist. So I do that show now. And actually I should have Ricardo on Friday, talking about the sheriff run and this type of things. But nonetheless, I'm doing those things because I'm saying I just want to provide what they thought they took.
Yes.
And in the end, I became more of a programming system, man, like a human camera, meaning I felt like I was there in the latter part of the years, the latter 15 years, like, I'm just going to do a study. You know what I mean? And for 15 to 20 years, I was just doing a study, bro. I mean, boxes and boxes of just studying how they pulling off what they do, how it works, world watching you guys world out here, trying to solve the problems that was already going on, making analysis comparisons to where they would be in 7 years. And then I'm still there 7 years compared with that. It's a lot, man. So provision, giving that back right now is exactly what I'm trying to do. So we got to do it this way, and people, the case always leads them.
Yes.
I'm going, other than, like the civil stuff, my case is still going on, so I don't speak. But the truth, man, is all I ever wanted them to provide me. You see what I'm saying? Don't make me star in the movie and don't even tell me how the movie concludes.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Like, no part two, no nothing. You're just going to put me in the movie, throw me in hell, and you're on, and then one day just be like, oh shit, we messed up, and then move on. No. I had to play in this movie. Nah. I'm gonna need to see some other outcomes. You know what I mean? Who behind it or what went on? You know what I mean? Somebody's got to tell me something, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's on the menu too. I mean, I can't get all the way there till I can get the people out here to wake up and and say, that's not much to say, not in my name. You know what I mean? Hashtag it. Start hashtagging around that State House. Start hashtagging the BNN. Start hashtagging it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hashtag not NOTNIN, my name, and take ownership so that the courts and people like that'll know before they even start the process. At least it'll appear my community is watching.
Yes. Absolutely.
My community's watching.
Yes.
We doing late night. We doing a late night brother to brother regular interview with my man Jay here. So when you see him, then my brother, we both been up, and still got this process going. Go ahead,
yes.
bro.
Yes, you do. Because I can tell you, brother. Because I'm just like you. After my mother passed away, I was in Florida. I was like, I don't want to come to Boston, but I had to. And it was tough, because I want to stay in Florida as long as, but but like you, I went to school. I got a degree now, so now I'm doing a progress and I'm doing better. So I got plans to get out there and do my thing and help people like you. So yeah, so.
I see you doing your thing. That's good. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't let nobody most people will say don't let nobody stop you. I say don't let nobody even be part of the process of being you.
Exactly.
Everything outside of you, they could do that, but the process of being you, you're gonna have to play that card yourself.
Yes.
You got it, man. I see you, Jay. I see you.
Thank you. You got it too. Now, how did you feel? Now, how did you feel when you found out that you were going to be released from prison? How was that day for you, being set free from prison?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, man. I would love this to, it never really works out to turn into a pure charm story, but you don't go in there and get out.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So when you what you call out, you don't go in there and get out. Oh. It's the same thing where people get caught up in their minds to depression, right? Some places you travel too deep, you don't get out. So because I left the building, I got, I just had my 3rd year anniversary. You know what I mean? What was that? Day before yesterday.
Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying? Right. You know what I mean? The 11th, I believe, right? I just, that's the day that I got free from this mess. And so I don't think that place ever leaves you, because the mentalities and the behaviors, you know what I mean? If you've been eating right-handed since you was a baby all the way to you 45, you're not just gonna master doing everything with your left hand, you know what I mean? And so they're gonna travel with you, man, because what you're gonna recall, all the memories are in there. I was 18 when I went away, you know what I mean? So all the memories are in there. Even the hardships or the time with my kids laughing about Christmas or doing anything was over a phone. So those years that I would call as good years and kids growing up and, my grandmother being alive, those were phone calls, man. You see what I'm saying? So now I'd have to give those up too. Right? So wherever I play my memories at, they're gonna always involve those places. We don't get out, bro. I want to clarify that. You know what I mean? When you see another me, and you know what I mean, there's plenty of us, man, walking around, you just get that in your head. We don't get out of it. You know what I mean? We maintain and control it if you know best. And if you don't, you get caught up in what's going on.
Wow, I see. Yeah. I mean, wow. So how did COVID affect you? I mean, did COVID affect you in prison and being out? I mean, because I'm sure it did,
Well, I've been out 3 years, so COVID, man, just got the same amount of time. That's again, when I say it's just peculiar for me the way life does. And I came to the world back into this world at this time, because I didn't walk out to basically sunny beach, let's go, let's run. You know, I had a little bit of that. And the next thing I know, for 2 years, I'm locked in. You see what I'm saying? I'm right back in the joint. So when everybody else is going through the whole thing they were going through in terms of like, oh man, you can't go here, you can't go to a movie, and complaining about that, you know what I mean? I was literally like, damn, that's my world every single day. I did that forever. So I'm not feeling the effects of that. It's like this room, you know what I mean? A room that's bigger than this cell is freedom to me. Been in the same small cell, your bathroom. You see what I'm saying? I've been living in a bathroom for 32 years straight. You know what I mean? Like, come on. I mean, I'm gonna adjust to whatever comes out when I can move and go to a sink when I want to, you know what I mean? Use a facility without it being next to the bed I'm in, you know what I mean? Get in a car or just go out and breathe, man. You know what I mean? Fresh air, see the sun without no block views or no big walls. You know what I mean? All of that, Jay.
I hear you, brother. Yes. Wow. So, so what are you working on right now besides your project on a radio show? What else are you working on this year? I mean,
I'm doing a host of things, bro. You know, I got this thing, this passport click, and you know, I'd want y'all eventually to hear more about that. I've been doing a lot of like the shows with Cannabis, legendary rap out of Cannabis. That's my man there, you know what I mean? And you know, we do a show on Sunday afternoon. Actually, I do Sunday nights too, but Sunday afternoon, 12 to 2 on bumpiradio.com. We do that. And so I've really been focusing on that. And you know, like I said, and having the platform to share the information, right? And, you know, and then besides that, man, I'm just taking in the idea of, you know, I've been to every march, man. You know, I did Dante Wright's funeral, actually led the procession and, you know, all that right there, man. Went to the George Floyd verdict, was out there and did all the marches, you know, from these areas, New York, wherever, right? And this is the first time that I'm actually putting it in perspective for me, saying now I'm gonna quarantine me a little bit. It's all out, because I understand we in the stage where that's something my eye, bro, but I understand that we have to start figuring it out because there's a lot going on.
Yes.
Right around us, if you haven't lived this, there's a lot going on. And because I told you prison is 24 hours a day being on point, I did not come out here not to be on point and be like, there they go, they're in their race war. And there they go, they don't got food. You know what I mean? You're talking about, you know, the best way to start something to really get people to understand that you might actually end up with food and gas shortages and things they ain't never felt here is to realize when somebody starts off telling you they can't get food to babies, that's just the easier way to prepare to you as an adult. Like, shit, if we couldn't get food to babies, what you crying about? You know what I mean? We're living in some hard times, man. So I'm preparing for that. I'm mentally understanding that this is just like that prison. The functions are going to be the same. The hopelessness is going to be the same. The violence is going to be the same. Just access to more tools to do wrong. That's it.
Wow. I see. Okay. So my next question to you is, how do you deal with racism? I mean, how did it affect you in prison and now? Because that's something that's we need to.
So let me say this.
Okay.
Believe it or not, my birth mom, my mom's, I call my grandmother mama. My mother, her husband is white. Been since I was 14, grew up, you understand that? I never even understood the race, right? When they talk about a race is something that somebody's supposed to win. You know what I mean? And I go, when they talk about racism and all that right there, I look at that like that's a fool's game. And this is never about that, right? It's not, otherwise, then what I'm gonna start doing? Blacking this out, you know what I mean? And identifying myself. We got that from grade school. People are still stuck in grade school mentalities, bro. When you went to school, before they was doing 1, 2, 3 and all that other stuff, they were picking up things, man, and saying red. Green. You know, they were doing things like this, right? And you identify them by color. And then in our adulthood, the beef starts behind he's white, he's black. We understand what you don't like about people's culture. There's no different than some people like loud music, some people don't. You know what I mean? We understand those type of differences, but what they call racism is just foolishness, right?
Yes.
It's identifying it by a color and just throwing whatever else in that package. I didn't have to deal with it, man, because I always was just bigger than that.
Mm.
I step on that idea. So my life's been full, thank God, with all kinds of people. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't want it to be otherwise. I just don't want it to be the wrong people. And that's all you, man, it could be your brother, your cousins, your sister, your mama. You know, we born in families where people don't like each other.
That's true, yeah.
Born in, it don't come with, this like for each other don't come freely. You know what I mean? You have family members, man, that live in the same house, brother, same way the Bible, Cain and Abel, to kill each other, and his sister, and kill their mothers now, and all kind of stuff. I lived in there with those types. Now I've heard the stories. I really got to hear what they thinking, right? It's tragic, bro.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's tragic. It's tragic. It's tragic. I want you to just to know, bro, in prison, I think, man, people out here are a little bit confused. Prison, even though it's the baddest place, man, this structure in it is bad structure, but in that chaos, there's structure, meaning you don't see on the news today one prisoner went off and killed 10 guards, do you? No. You haven't even seen a murder up this way where they murdering each other in prison. Out here, you got mass shootings and shooting babies and shooting anybody, and for no reason. I thought that was the worst of the worst place. The treatment is the worst of the worst. We can't have anything, starving to death, you know what I mean? Lack of showers, getting beat, gas, dogs, whatever they doing to you, being treated like you on a slave field, all that's happening. You know what I mean? But look at that broader picture. You see what I'm saying? Look at the broader picture, bro.
Yeah.
We really do. We didn't have time for that. We don't operate the same. That's why you're not seeing that. You're not seeing no race riot breaking out in prison, do you?
No.
Now, these are the worst of the worst. They're supposed to be locked in, allegedly, right? The worst of the worst. That's supposed to be in one environment. Gangs and everything. How come this is out of control and they're not having the issue in there?
Yeah.
They're having the regular old fights and do what they do, and somebody might get knifed or whatever, but they're not on a massive march on the superintendent. They got everybody that ain't got nothing to lose. That's got 40 bodies and crazy numbers, right?
Yeah.
How are they marching on the deputies and superintendents like the Capitol?
Yeah. Wow.
See, think about the reverse of it, man. This is where it's traumatic at. So I don't have time for that one, bro. You know what I mean? I don't have time for that one. That's part of the game. Okay. You know what I mean? There's a particular type of being, right? And he's more identifiable as probably being white because of all of the history shows the things that have been done to other people with being white. But what would you call those that are doing it to the Jews? We know it wasn't black folks, it wasn't Indians. So what would we call them, right? Yes. Now we start identifying them by their countries, Chinese, and you see what I'm saying? That stuff's ridiculous, man. Until one of us do something fascinating, like wings just pop out of the skin and start really flying, and not movies, and show me you a different man than me, not that you can lift more and things that you had to work on, the most the body could do. Yes. But you can do something else, man. You know what I mean? And literally float in the air and do that for real. We're not talking about one of these little magicians. We're talking about for real. Yeah. I'm fascinated enough to be persuaded by no culture of who I'm going to be around. Yes. I just wanted to identify that in prison. Isn't it ironic that all this race stuff that's happening here is at a spark, and you don't see it happening in there? You would think that would be the worst place, that they could never put a black and white group together, the mob guys, black guys, these guys, right? We live in there together for years. We learned the structure of staying in the lane of this is our rules. This is what it's about. This is how we all got to move in here. And if we don't, somebody can lose their life 24/7. You know what I mean? And I think out here, people need to be waking up to the fact that you're watching lives being taken whether it's Ukraine, whether it's the mass shootings, and not aware that it could actually be yours.
Yes.
That, you know, that could be you. So
Yeah.
might as well be vocal now.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm asking. Like, let's be vocal now.
Yeah.
We don't have to be radical. We just got to be right.
Exactly.
Right, it'll supersede. It'll supersede.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just let evil overwhelm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So what inspires you? So what inspires you? What gives you inspiration?
Difference, man. You know, and let's keep it 100. When me and you, you know, we first met into this moment, I go, difference.
Okay.
My motto on my wall that I had for a while in prison would be right on my wall was making a way out of no way.
Yes.
And when I see it in you, and I see anybody that would look at it and go, they're not sounding like Oprah's show or Steve Harvey interview, or no. This difference provides an opportunity to say there are many of us.
Yes.
You understand that? And we're working it out. And anybody else that want to work it out or help us develop to work it out, let's work it out. Don't talk about what people are going through, what dysfunctions, what happens in their life, and then see them and don't be a provider. You know what I mean? Don't be a sponsor. Don't come along. Sponsor you. You know what I mean? Let's do something with it. Or we do it ourselves, like we're doing now.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I commend you on that.
Thank you. Did you finish? Did you finish high school or college when you were in prison?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did all that, man. You know what I mean? I did all that, man. The accolades, right? You know, we had Boston University then in Massasoit, you know, all the way down the line. Then they came and took the Pell Grants, as you know, and that's a whole nother story. So if we ever do, man, I'm doing the podcast as well, but you know, if we ever do a lineup on what was taken, then you'd understand why it was taken. You see, you've never went to a jail and visited one yet, nor saw them take weights or basketball out of prison.
Wow.
But they take programs. They never go take those programs. In fact, if you look up in Massachusetts, the one time that they were trying to weld was in Governor Weld. They wanted to take rocks and all this foolishness, right? The one time they were willing, they take all the programs, took it all. Then they said, let's take the weights from them, right? The gym from them, and the basketballs and whatever. And it was the union that fought back and was like, no. When I saw it, I'm in prison. When I saw that the union was fighting back with the governor to not take from us the basketballs and the weights and all that, it was self-evident, because I'm going, the union was down with taking every program, everything we could have, visits, how are we supposed to have them? They want to take it all, but they don't want to take our weights and basketball. And I'm explaining to dudes like, yo, you're fighting for they can't take our gym. Should have fought harder for this other stuff, because they're not going to take the gym, and that no matter what. And the union, what the guards wind up saying was that, no, we're not going to take that, because then they can focus on us. So I realized how this goes down, bro. It's the same thing out here. You know what I mean? If we can draw all of y'all to one place, man, like this thing with the WAC 100s and all this stuff that's going on, and all the, you know, industry bigwigs fighting online, and in the process of YouTube being about a gripe, you can get everybody over here functioning on that gripe, they won't see what else is going on. How many Black folks you know right now, if they really called them up and was like, how many of y'all knew the march was going down when they marched on the Capitol? Did you have any word?
No.
If it was the truth, the majority, most all would have to say, I didn't even know them people was putting that together.
Yeah, follow me.
You understand that? And look how many people they called out and didn't even, no idea. Right? Is that our future, to be in the not knowing? Nah, we gotta have everybody play their role. Meaning, what you have to provide to this world for our people, you got to provide it now. You know what I mean? No more fake leaders and fake, you know, pastors and none of that. This is the time you waited all our life, told your grandmothers to tell their kids to go to church and pray to God, and the time of God is coming, and then you see it upon you. Not like when your mother and them grew up and was like, boy, this is these are the last days. We're gonna always reason why we always see a last days, because we always making it towards a last days. You know what I'm saying? So now this time when it's an actual call to it, and like, yo, you don't see what's going on? Like, you know, what was that, past weekend? All the killings, man, you know, in the hoods, you know, just shooting everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. There's a disconnect so big, it's more than conversation. You see, it's embracing. People always trying to conversate with these kids out on the block, right? They're not. They. I bet you they wouldn't jump out of vans and have a let me give you a hug day.
Probably not. No.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just imagine the dealer or the gang dude you talking about, and you just pulling up for no other reason than like this hug day. Right? You'd be like, no, I don't think they want that. You wouldn't even consider that when actually, shit, there's probably one or two of them that never even had no hug.
Yeah.
It came right out of their house, right off the porch, as they say, into it. They don't know nothing about embracing nobody or being embraced. So that's what we want to wake them up to, Jay.
I definitely agree. So what do you like? So what do you like to do for fun? And you said now it's your favorite. What do you like to do for fun in your time or travel when you spare time? You know, travel.
Oh man, I've done a lot of things. I already, you know, as you know, I jumped out of a plane twice, and
I didn't know that.
You know, I've been everywhere, man. I got to meet people I want to meet, and even artists that was up and coming, man. I walked right into, like, you know, having an opportunity to be with Nipsey, man, and you know, I got to get to some legends before they were gone, and you know, really spend some time. I got to do a lot of everything, man, such as these papers, chairs, you know what I mean? Hang out with on the McCordys, man, and you know, and deal and get them all to come down and support others and bring a whole team of people to a game. And I got to do a lot, you know what I mean? Just the relationships. But I think my favorite thing, man, is sometimes just the idea of even having a close family member sitting in a distance and being able to see them and remind myself, I made it home to this one.
Yes,
that might not seem much to someone else, but for me, that can be joyous day to know that's not going to be no trauma.
Yes,
this particular woman in my life is good for me, something good. When you haven't had nothing good happening for so long, and it started before prison, but when you haven't had anything good and you didn't even know how to identify if it's good or not, right? You know, you start appreciating that. So that's fun to me. I know it would normally be things jet skiing and all that, but things like jet skiing that were fun for me messed my back up, man. I went out there on a jet ski thing, went all the way in the air, bang, messed my back up, messed up for about a month. You know, those things that can seem fun, them things are just as dangerous, right?
Yeah.
It's the idea, man, of even seeing the kids running around, you know what I mean? Seeing the grandkids, just seeing them, you know what I mean? Or watching how they maneuver.
Yeah.
You know, get something or want something and trying to instill something. That makes me happy. The idea that I could be there with them.
Oh, that's wonderful, you know. Yeah.
Or something for them. You know what I mean? That's another thing. It's hard, bro, when I say that, be there for them, because those are the options often I advise a lot of other people. I think a lot of times as parents, we think about what we can give them now, you know, and I did that, and not what we can prepare for them in our absence. So that's what I'm striving for, you know, mine, man. Like, we're not gonna burn out nothing now. I'm gonna have to leave something to carry on, because otherwise we're just gonna lose anything that we did suffer for.
Yes.
You know, we educate home.
I definitely understand. I agree with you, brother. I definitely truly agree with you. Yes. So my next question is I want to ask you. I'll get like an half for like famous stuff, you know. Okay. So what advice can you give artists that want to be a producer of a podcast? What advice can you give them that want to do what you're doing now?
Oh man, listen. You know, to bump that radio, right, is an opportunity, my man. PO, you know what I mean? It's coming out of Chicago and Atlanta, so it's not an ownership of mine. You see this? I'm part of the process.
Yes.
And one of the things about that process is you all the way in. My idea to any artist or anybody that's claiming to do anything or want to do anything in their life is probably get to doing it.
Yes.
That's the best advice. Now you would say get to doing what, but something you may like or that you really was destined here to bring to the forefront may actually be what the rest of the world wants. We didn't see trap music coming and all this other music right now. Most old school be looking at that like, what is he saying? And you know, and new school be looking at, man, that ain't even how we do it. You know what I mean? It's one of them things that I would just end on this note. I would say, go do the best you could do at being you. That's it. You know what I mean? And then if you can get some more people to apply their attributes to yours, good. But go give it the best shot at being you. That idea of being you is the hardest thing to get to. We think everything else is hard to get to, but from our glasses, everything got a name. Our shirt, you know, my hat, everything got a name. Everything else has been named on us. Ears, nose, everything, man. You know what I mean? The title of you've been packaged from day one. I'm Darrell. There's the package. You know I mean? Now all these other experiences, but have you ever did you? You know what I mean? Have you ever just did it the way you wanted to do it and say for good? And let me see how it plays out. What if I was all the way me? I wasn't mimicking anything else. I advise you to try that today, because the world needs something different, and difference is what's going to matter.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So what do you see for so what do you see 12 years from now? Still doing what you're doing now down the line?
Oh no, man. I've never been a dictator of time, man. I didn't have no control of time in jail. I learned a lot about trying to control time. What I'm gonna do is get up every 24 hours of a day. When you didn't have no days to do it, I learned every 24 hours is gonna matter, right? So whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get to it tomorrow, and then look for the next tomorrow and do it 24 hours of that, and that. I still have a problem with somebody planning something for me 2 weeks from now.
Oh, really?
I got a problem with that. See, that's the people that appear to be guaranteed life. Now, what if tomorrow you plan that and you ended up in my situation? Something you didn't do.
Yeah.
Or you don't think the people that was in Florida when that sinkhole happened down there, it had a plan? Most of them retired, and you don't think all the hundreds of thousands of people we lost during COVID that worked all their lives and retired, and you don't think they had a plan?
No, I'm sure they did. I had a plan too. My mom had a plan. Yeah, I know what you mean. You know, yeah.
Everybody got a plan.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But not everybody gets to living.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I had 32 years strong, 35 total to plan. I ain't in plan stage, man. I'm into 24-hour living stage right now. If I can do it tomorrow, if I can get there tomorrow, if it's available to me and God will it, my health, and it ain't hurting nobody else, then tomorrow, that's where it'll be. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
I hear you, brother. Because that's how I feel about my school. You know, I'm gonna go to school probably in Tampa in September. You know, and just do it now. You know, you're right. You know, I'm not gonna wait for tomorrow. You know, just I'm trying. Just like you could give. You should give it yours right now. You know, so you can be happy. I hear you. You should be happy. You know, yeah. So would you say you're pretty happy right now? You're pretty happy right now, or?
I'm not. I don't think. We used happy right then, right? But I don't think happy is the standard for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't think happiness is the standard. The things that would make me happy. Happiness would be a package. That's why you give your kids Christmas toys or Easter baskets. You know what I mean? There's a package to happiness. And you know, not having my son here, my brother, and my grandmother, or my man, I called my dad, you know what I mean, Reverend Barry, William A. Barry, you know, Justice Priest, that's who I called my dad, you know what I mean? Although I love and respect my actual father, you know what I mean? We were getting to know each other, but this man has been with me in there through the hardest times, came home to him and with me, right? No, I don't think happiness is the goal. That all of that would make me happy. I'd exchange all of this nonsense, whatever I got, for that. You know what I mean? They have my grandmother back, my son back, my dad back. I'll take that package. You know what I mean? My brother. You know what I mean? It's sad to say I'll even take the smallest of that package. Over all of this right here. You know what I mean? So happiness. I'm not striving to be happy. I'm striving to be free.
Free. Oh, yes.
Like I know what freedom really is, and I'm going. You know, when they say somebody died on their deathbed peacefully, like, oh man, just went so peacefully.
Yes.
I'm going to assume that person actually found peace.
Yes.
I'm not going to struggle and wait to find that out. You see what I'm saying? Wait to find that out. I'm going to bring myself a little peace. You know what I mean? And if peace means just like being here and sitting in here alone and being to myself and all that right there, yeah, that's peace for me.
Yeah.
I was in prison. There was no picking up no phone, calling Jay, or you know what I mean, or playing with the lamps and having pictures and getting on microphones or spinning your DJ equipment or listening to any song you want. You know, there was none of that. Right now, this time right here, I'll be on. What time is it, man? Man, 10:26. I would have been already locked in the cell, and you know what I mean. It's sitting there, man. So basically, looking at the wall, or either looking at the little small TV, smaller than the laptop. That basically only get a couple of channels. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And sitting there, man, looking at that. I mean, no, bro, no. This that happiness thing, it can be very elusive because it has standards to it. Everything we ever learned was happy was a picture of a heart, and then there was, you know, little cartoon bubbles, and you know, then there was Easter, and then there was Christmas, then it's your birthday, you can be happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? The celebratory days we set up for our happiness. If we was to reverse the celebratory days we have on a calendar, right? The days of, yeah, you can be happy, and made those like, okay, those are the only bad days we could have, that amount. It could actually be happy. You know what I mean? We have to set up celebratory days that we make up for us to even get everybody else to and be involved in the idea of being happy. Oh, crazy. It's crazy. You know what I mean? 4th of July, all of these people all across the country will go out, flares will be jumping. Foolishness will happen, but most of that, they'll be like celebratory. Drunk, everybody doing what they're doing. Isn't that ironic? Yeah. And that day they can get along, then tomorrow they go back to work. Somebody else be scheming on the Capitol, somebody else be scheming on each other, somebody be scheming on the hood. It's really wild. Really wild. So structure, man. Yeah. It's been good, Jay. This has been good, but structure, you know what I mean? And not happy, it's that thing, just the idea of materializing joy. Joy is a better word. Joy, I say yes. Joy is a better word, because joy is an instantaneous thing. Yes. Joy. Yeah. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I'm in the joy. So that's the word, enjoying what life is at right now. Oh, that's a blessing to hear. And do you plan to stay in Boston, or do you plan to maybe move down to Florida, California, where it's warm, because that's my dream, I want you to go where you're happy. So if that's being from Florida, Hawaii, California, you should definitely go, because you don't want to be here in the wintertime, So no. I've been out now 3 years. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter location. It's just gonna matter what part of me I take to anybody else's land as well. If you bring your same self to Philadelphia, you're gonna fit right back into your same environment. You know what I mean? I'm more concerned about what I bring to where I go. Then I'll decide where I'm gonna be. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And you so you like so for now you like